Welcome everyone, this is your host Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. First of all, this channel is proudly sponsored by Magi-Knights Awakening. This is a Super Sentai and Magical Girl inspired tabletop role-playing game where you get to confront mythos-like horrors. And this is of course the feature of this video. You will find it in the description and in the pinned comment. This channel is also proudly sponsored by Tetris Studios, the publishers and developers of Dames of Asstoria, a tabletop role-playing game where you play as monster girls experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them. They have recently released Daughters of Lamb. This is a pay-what-you-want tabletop RPG where you get to play as cybernetic nuns with guns, looking for the missing pieces of their AI god. You will find it in their website. The links will be in the description and in the pinned comment. This channel is also proudly sponsored by the Red Room Publishing. Please check out their store for exclusive tabletop RPG products. They have recently released Savage Swords. This is a Conan-inspired tabletop RPG where you get to explore ancient civilizations and confront forgotten nightmares. You will find it in the description and in the pinned comment as well. So yes, today we are continuing the... Oh, let me check something real quick. Yes, okay. We are continuing the review series featuring Magi-Knights Awakening. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review series, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the Soul Eclipse Chart. The Soul Eclipse Chart, which follows the lunar phases seen on Earth and is depicted on the main character sheet, helps Magi Knights keep track of their trauma and corruption. Each time you receive a trauma point, beginning with the new moon phase on your main character sheet, you will fill in the lunar blip found adjacent to the moon's phase. If you gain an additional trauma point, you will continue filling in additional lunar blips in a clockwise fashion. Once you have marked the lunar blip of the full moon phase, any further lunar blips are connected with a shaded line known as the Terminator line. This indicates that your Magi Knight has begun to lose their clarity of purpose and finds it more difficult to recover from trauma. And for example, upon filling the sixth lunar blip, the difficulty checks of any further moments of catharsis activities increases by +3. Upon filling the 8th lunar blip belonging to the waning crescent moon phase, if you would gain any further trauma points, your Magi Knight experiences a total soul eclipse. A total soul eclipse represents either the complete corruption of a Magi Knight's soul crystal and their potential descent into becoming an agent of the invading evil, or having been pushed beyond their breaking point and suffering a traumatic nervous breakdown called a burnout. But that is not all. You have details on the various phases of the solar eclipse, the waxing crescent, the first quarter, the waxing gibbous, etc. If a Magi Knight enters into a total soul eclipse but has 2 or fewer corruption points, they may attempt to steal their minds against the total soul eclipse by making a purity skill check with the DC equal to 8 plus 2 times your current number of burnout lines. If they are a Heartless or Fallen Knight, a Magi Knight with 3 or more corruption points, they need to make a corruption check before completing their burnout. This is explained in further detail within the corruption check section. Burnout lines can never be erased unless you are playing the full moon story mode, which is discussed in another section of the book. A corruption point can only ever be removed through redemption, which is also explained later on. Now let's talk about performing a soul sacrifice. Especially committed Magi Knights might engage in a soul sacrifice to protect themselves from burnout lines. To do this, a Magi Knight simply informs the Herald that they wish to sacrifice a portion of their soul for extra magical protection. You have details on how to handle this through the diagram, of course, very well explained. Now, when it comes to resisting traumatic events, if a Magi Knight is exposed to a source of trauma, they must immediately make a roll to resist purity and are able to resist as many trauma points as listed in the trauma point increase column found in the table. Many events are so traumatic that they cannot be entirely endured. This is a war against evil after all. Let's talk about devastating trauma. Receiving a large amount of trauma points all at once can be significantly difficult to come to terms with. When a Magi Knight gains 3 trauma points from a single source, they gain the distressed condition and are afflicted with the feverish dreams effect during the sleep phase. When a Magi Knight gains 4 or more trauma points from a single source, they still gain the feverish dream effects, feverish dreams effect, while also gaining the distressed and paralyzed conditions. The Magi Knight automatically recovers from the paralyzed condition at the end of their next turn. And this concludes this part of the review series. In the next part, we are going to talk about corruption points and redemption. As expected of confronting mythos-like horrors, not only do you need to protect your body, but also your mind. And perhaps you could say your heart. And you have all of the details concerning that here. This is a battle for the body and the soul. Thank you for watching this part of the review series. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the super thanks button. Take a look at the information in the description and in the pinned comment. This has been your host Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. And remember, in tabletop role-playing games, you are not telling stories about your characters. You are experiencing the game world as your characters. Once again, thank you and see you later.